welcome to my channel. Today we are talking budgeting. We're going to talk about what budgeting is, why you should budget, how to create a basic $0 budget, and how to utilize that budget to meet your personal finance goals. All that a budget is a plan to allocate your personal income to expenses, debt, savings, and investments. In simple terms, all that it is a plan on how you're going to distribute your funds. It's really not rocket science. People make it out to be a lot more complicated than it is, but all that it really is saying is, this is how much I'm bringing in, this is how much I'm taking out. That's all that the budget is saying. Some of you may be saying, why should you get on a budget? Well, you want to get on a budget to ensure that you have money for things and to ensure that the money that you do have is going to what you want it to go to. You want to ensure that you can meet your personal finance goals, whether it's paying off debt, saving, investing. You want to ensure that you have the money to do those things, and that's what a budget helps you with. A lot of times I've seen people say, oh, I don't know where my money is going. I don't know. I just had this much money and now it's gone. I don't know where it went. Well, that's what a budget does. A budget helps you see where exactly your money is going, and then you can decide how to fix that problem. Do you need to cut expenses over in that area? Like, what do you need to do to fix that? And that's what budgeting helps you do. Today I'm going to show you how to do a basic zero-based budget. And all that a zero-based budget is doing is saying whatever money you're bringing in is going to an expense, and your income minus expenses is going to equal zero. That's all that the zero-based budget is. Before you get started on your budget, you want to ensure that you have a smart personal finance goals. You want to write down all your personal finance goals. That way you can have a purpose as to why you're doing your budget, because budgeting can become very tedious sometimes, and you want to have a purpose for it. So you want to have smart personal finance goals. And what that means is you want your goals to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. You want to set those goals before you even get started. Today, I'm going to show you how to do a basic zero-based budget. And as you can see in this example, income minus expenses is zero. In your budget, you want to start with income. And you want to start with income so that you can know how much money you are getting to allocate to your expenses. And with income is anything from your salary to money people is giving you, taxes, part-time gigs, anything that you have money coming in from, that's considered income, and you want to put that in your income category. In this example, this person only has salary, and I put their salary after taxes and deductions, and the only deductions that they have is health insurance, and that's already taken out in this example. So now if you're self-employed, you would want to add taxes or health insurance and stuff like that as part of your expenses. If you have irregular income, what you want to do is go back your past 12 months and use your lowest month income as your budget amount for the first month at least. Or you can go back the past 3 months and then average that out, and that would be your income for month one if your income is irregular. But I highly recommend going with the first option, which is going back the past 12 months and going with your lowest income, because what you don't want to do is overstate your income, because it's going to be a disaster at the end of the month, and that's how you get into money problems. So I highly recommend going by your lowest income over the past 12 months and use that as your first month's income in your budget. After you've calculated your income, now you know how much money you have, and then you can distribute it to your expenses. And you want to start with your fixed and most important expenses. Things like rent, utilities, car payments, phone bill, internet, insurance, student loans, credit cards. Those are the things that you want to have as part of your fixed income, because you know what those are every month. Those are usually not going to change very often. So those are the things that you want to have in your fixed portion of your expenses. Then you go down to your variable expenses, things like groceries, gas, entertainment, miscellaneous items, savings, and investments. Those are the things that are variable, and from month to month they can change really. So those are what you want to put in your variable expenses. And at the end of that, it should equal 0. As you can see, all that the budget is stating what your income is, subtracting all your expenses, and it equals 0. That's all that it is. But now I'm going to show you how to utilize this first month's budget to then in the second month start hitting your personal finance goals. In this particular example, this person's goal is to get rid of their debt. So as you can see in the right hand corner, I have their personal debt, things like credit card, car loans, student loans. Those are the things they're trying to get rid of. And then in column 2, month 2, you can see that I've already cut some of their expenses. So things like phone, you can cut it down. Internet and cable, you can get rid of the cable. You don't really need cable in 2019. Groceries, you don't really need to spend $300 on groceries if you're a single person. Entertainment, miscellaneous. And then as you can see, for savings and investments, because their goal is to get rid of debt, what we're going to do is stop putting money in savings and investments and allocate that money to credit card. If you see credit card in red, you can see that all those budget cuts that I did there is now added to the credit card, and now you can throw that money at your credit card debt. If you look at this example, in 4 months, this credit card debt could be gone. Like it could vanish and they no longer have credit card debt if they're willing to stick to this budget for the next 4 months. After getting rid of the credit card debt, you would continue on to get rid of the car loan and the student loan debt. In this example, we're using the snowball effect, and what the snowball effect is that you get rid of your smallest debt first. In this case, the credit card debt, and then you get rid of the largest debt last, which is the student loan. Now, there's 2 ways you can get rid of that. You can use the snowball effect. I recommend it if you're one of those persons who like to see progress, or you can use the method of getting rid of your highest interest rate first. Some of the things you may notice in this budget is there is a section for entertainment, and I know a lot of people hear the word budget and they think, oh, it means you can't have any fun money and you can't do this or you can't do that. A budget is not meant to stop you from doing the things that you do per se, unless you know you have goals and you're trying to meet your goals and you want to cut those things. A budget is meant to have you see where you're putting your money. Like, it's not meant to restrict you. So if you know that you need monthly entertainment, then you always want to have that in your budget. And what you can see is when I made the budget cuts, if you look at where I made the budget cuts, it's a lot of the variable expenses, because a lot of variable expenses are not usually that important outside of groceries and gas in this case. The other stuff is not really things that you need. Like, you don't need entertainment. It's a want. So when you're cutting expenses, you want to start with those wants. Things like your phone. You don't need a $50 phone bill when you can get a $30 phone bill. Internet and cable, we live in 2019 where it's the world of Netflix and Hulu. You can just get internet and then get a subscription to one of those things, and that should be enough to, you know, get you by. So when you're doing your budget, you want to cut those variable expenses first when you're trying to cut expenses. And another thing this person could do, they're a single person living by themselves, another thing they could do is get a roommate. And if they were to get a roommate, I guarantee you they can probably cut their rent by $200. This is a good way to utilize your budget to meet your finance goal. If you're trying to cut some expenses, a budget is the first place to start. Now, after you've completed your budget, the next thing you'd have to do is track your expenses each month. Each month, you'll track your expenses, and then you can make adjustments from month to month, because each month is not going to be the same. In some months, I get paid higher than in other months due to 5 Fridays in a month versus 4 Fridays or something like that. So you want to make those adjustments each month, and all you have to do is just track your expenses. After that, you'd want to input that into, whether you're using a spreadsheet or an app or something like that, you want to input, or even if you're doing it on paper, you want to input that information, keep track of your expenses. If you're a cash person, keep your receipts so that you can write down how much you're spending. And then at the end of the month, you review your budget and see, okay, where did I overspend? Where did I underspend? Where can I cut expenses? What can I do to make my budget better? That's all that you do to do a budget, you guys. It's really not rocket science. Also, do not be tough on yourself when you first start out budgeting. When I first started budgeting, my first 3 to 4 months were horrible. I was not sticking to my budget at all. I was not sticking to it. Now, I wasn't overspending I wasn't spending more than I was bringing in, but like I wasn't able to save as much as I wanted to because I was overspending in other areas. And that's what budgeting makes you realize. It makes you realize you need to cut down a little bit on your spending. And so that's why I'm so happy that I got started on budgeting, because it's really helped me be more disciplined. And that's the big thing with budgeting and sticking to your budget. It's all about discipline. But do make your budget a little bit flexible. So don't be tough on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. It's not going to start out perfect, more than likely, especially if you're in a rough spot financially. It's not going to start out the best. But continue to progress and continue to do it. And eventually you get to the point to where you even know how much is in your budget before you even look at your budget. Like that's where I am now. Like I don't even have to look at my budget to know how much money I have in each budgeting category. Like I just know it off the top of my head now. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, this is too much work. Who's going to be writing down all these expenses, and who's going to be able to keep track of all this stuff? Well, we live in the 21st century. It's 2019, and there are free budgeting apps that does it for you. All you have to do is monitor it. And today I'm going to tell you about the budgeting apps that I've used to monitor my expenses. Some of them are more manual than others, so it's just depending on what works for you. I like the more manual apps because I don't want the app being too much in my business, so I like to just put in what I have. But there are some apps where you can actually connect your accounts and it tracks your budget for you. Like it tracks your expenses for you. You don't even have to do anything. So there's really no excuse as to why you're not on a budget. Like if you're not on a budget at this point, you're just making excuses. So the first app that I used when I started budgeting is iSaveMoney. And I love this app because it's so simple. All you do is put in your income, put in your expenses, and then you just put in how much you're spending each month. That's all that you do. It's really simple. Just like how that spreadsheet was set up, that's how iSaveMoney is set up. It's very, very simple, basic budgeting app. The only thing with iSaveMoney is that you cannot connect your bank accounts. You can't connect your credit cards and loan accounts. So if you're one of those persons who don't want to manually input how much you're spending, then it might not be for you. But if you're like me and you want to see what you're putting in, then it's the perfect thing for you. The next budgeting app is EveryDollar. I currently use EveryDollar, and they do have a feature where you can connect your bank account. I'm not doing that. I think they charge like $10 for that, but you don't have to do that. You can manually do it like I do. And it's free of charge. The only thing with EveryDollar is starting out, you have to get used to the different tabs. They have a plan tab, which is where you put the budget. They have a spend tab, which is where you put how much you spend. And then they'll have a remaining tab, which tells you how much you have left. And for some people, that might be a little bit complicated to start. So you might want to start with something like I Save Money, which is a little bit simpler. It's just one tab. It's just income, expenses, versus EveryDollar, which has 3 different things going on, and you have to kind of understand how to navigate it a little bit. But it's really not rocket science. It's really simple as well. And like I said, if you're willing to pay that extra $10, you can connect your account and it tracks it for you. The next app is Mint, and I just started using Mint as well. I only use Mint for tracking my student loan debt, but you can use Mint. I think Mint is probably the best one of the ones that I've used. And only reason I say that is because Mint, if you're one of those people, like I said, you're too lazy to be inputting these numbers all the time. Well, Mint, you can connect your bank account. It tracks all your expenses. You can connect your student loans accounts, any type of loan account really. You can just connect it to it. You can connect your credit card accounts. You can connect your investment accounts. You can connect almost anything to Mint, and it tracks it for you, and it tells you how much you have in each thing, each account, whether you have cash, whether you have credit card, whether you have investments, whether you have student loans, everything. Mint tracks that for you. Like, you don't even have to do any work. The only thing you would have to do is monitor it to ensure that it's accurate, but you don't have to really do any work. Like, it's really simple. The one thing I will say though with Mint is that they don't have anywhere where you can put your income, which is the one thing I don't like about Mint. So you can't really do a $0, well, you can still do the $0 budget. It's just you won't see the income portion of it. And I don't really like that part of Mint. Maybe there is an income portion and I'm just not seeing it. I'm still like navigating through Mint. But I only use it for tracking my student loan debt, because that's what my finance goal is right now, is to get rid of that student loan debt. So that's what I use it for. And then I use EveryDollar for my budgeting. And I Save Money is what I used to use. And I do highly recommend I Save Money if you aren't that great with navigating a lot of apps or whatever. But these are just some budgeting apps, but there are also many others on the market. You can just read the reviews, or you can just try them out and see if it works for you. Now that I've given you the information, you literally have no reason not to get on a budget. You have no reason not to do it. It's super simple. It's super easy to track with all the technology of today. It's not like back in the days where people would have to do budgets on papers. People would have to do their budgets in Excel. But now they have apps that do it for you. So get on that budget, get started so you can start hitting your personal finance goals. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next week, I'm going to show you how to get started on your emergency fund. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in my next video.